The message came on a quiet Tuesday morning. It cut through every satellite, every radio tower, every communication system on Earth like a knife through paper. In Seoul, in New York, in small villages and great cities, screens flickered and went dark. Then came the face. Admiral Park was drinking coffee in the United Earth Defense Command when it happened. The holographic projector in the center of the room sparked to life without anyone touching it. A creature appeared, floating in blue light. It was tall, maybe 3 meters, with a body like an insect. Its eyes were black and empty, like holes in space. When it spoke, the words came through a translator, cold and without feeling. Species 7291, designated human, the creature said. Its mouth parts clicked together as it talked. You have expanded beyond your authorized stellar boundary. The Galactic Council of 12 Dominions orders your immediate withdrawal from the systems. You have 1 rotation of your planet to comply. Failure will result in pacification. The hologram disappeared. The room was silent. Admiral Park set down his coffee cup. His hand was steady, but his heart was beating fast. Around him, officers stood frozen at their stations. Some had gone pale. Others looked angry. One young lieutenant was shaking. "Did that just happen?" someone whispered. It had happened. After 300 years of space travel, after building colonies on dozens of worlds, after spreading humanity across the stars, they had finally met the neighbors, and the neighbors wanted them gone. General walked into the room 5 minutes later. She was 42 years old, the youngest general in Earth's history, and she had a reputation for staying calm when everything was falling apart. Today, that reputation would be tested. "I saw the message," she said. Everyone saw the message. It broadcast on every channel on Earth. 12 billion people, Admiral Park said quietly. The systems have 12 billion people, families, children. They want us to just leave them. Defense Minister pulled up a star map on the main screen. The systems glowed like scattered jewels, 47 worlds spread across 3 star systems. Humanity had spent 200 years building those colonies. They had farms, schools, hospitals, cities. They had generations of people who had never even seen Earth. "One day," Minister said. "They gave us 1 day to abandon everything." "They did not even declare war," General said. Her voice was flat, but her eyes were hard. "They said pacification, like we are animals to be controlled, like we are not worth the respect of a real threat." Dr. Bay entered the room. She was old, nearly 80, but her mind was sharper than anyone half her age. She had spent her entire life studying the stars, searching for signs of other life. Now that she had found it, she did not look happy. "I have been monitoring alien signals for 60 years, she said. "I know about this council. They rule most of this galaxy. 12 species, each one older than human civilization. Some of them were building empires when our ancestors were still living in caves." "How many ships do they have?" Admiral Park asked. 14 million, according to my estimates." The room went even more quiet. Earth's entire fleet numbered 800 ships. Most of them were exploration vessels, built for science, not war. "What happens to species that refuse them?" General asked. Dr. Bay was quiet for a moment. "In my research, I found records of 19 species who received similar demands over the past 10,000 years. And all 19 yielded. They gave up their colonies, their expansion, their futures. They became subjects of the Council, forever trapped in whatever small corner of space the Council allowed them. None of them fought back." "None," Dr. Bay smiled, and there was something strange in that smile, something old and fierce. "But then again, none of them were human." Admiral Park walked to the window. Outside, the sun was setting over the Pacific Ocean. The sky was painted in shades of orange and red, beautiful and peaceful. Somewhere out there, past the atmosphere, past the moon, past Mars and Jupiter, and the edge of the solar system, 12 billion people were waiting to learn their fate. He thought about his daughter, who lived on 7 with her husband and 2 children. He thought about the pictures she sent him, of her kids playing in fields of alien grass under a golden sun. He thought about what it would mean to tell her that she had to leave, that everything her family had built meant nothing, that humanity was not allowed to grow. "No," he said. General looked at him. "Sir." "No." He turned to face the room. "We do not abandon our people. We do not surrender our future. I do not care if they have 14 million ships. I do not care if they have ruled this galaxy for 1 million years. We are human beings and we do not kneel." "They will destroy us," Minister said, but he did not sound like he was arguing. He sounded like he was asking a question. "Maybe," Admiral Park said, "or maybe we find another way. Humans have always found another way. When we faced ice ages, we survived. When we faced plagues, we survived. When we faced each other in wars that should have ended our species, we survived. We are still here. We will always be here." General stepped forward. Her eyes were bright now, the fear replaced by something else, something that looked like hope. "Then we fight," she said. "No," Admiral Park replied. "Fighting is what they expect. We do something else. We do what humans have always done when faced with impossible odds." "What is that?" Admiral Park smiled. "We think, we adapt, we find their weakness, and then we make them regret ever learning our name." Outside, the stars were coming out, one by one, filling the sky with light. Somewhere among them, the Galactic Council was waiting for humanity's surrender. They would be waiting for a very long time. The Hall of Dominions was the most beautiful place in the galaxy. It floated in the heart of a dying star, protected by shields that had lasted for 50,000 years. The walls were made of crystal that sang when light touched them. The ceiling showed the entire galaxy, billions of stars spinning slowly in the darkness. Here, the 12 ruling species gathered to decide the fate of worlds. High Arbiter sat on the central throne. He was a species of insect-like creatures who had conquered their first empire before humans learned to make fire. His body was long and thin, covered in black armor that gleamed under the starlight. His eyes saw in spectrums that humans could not imagine. "The mammals have received our terms," he announced. His voice echoed through the great hall. "Our scanners show their military strength is small. They have perhaps 800 ships. We command 14 million. Laughter filled the chamber. It came in many forms. The clicked their shells together. The made deep rumbling sounds. The whistled through their breathing tubes. Each species had its own way of showing amusement, but the meaning was the same. Humanity was a joke. Trade Minister of the Syndicate floated forward. His body was like a jellyfish, transparent and filled with glowing organs. Long tentacles hung beneath him, each one capable of crushing stone. "Why do we even wait?" asked. "These creatures are barely out of their caves. They had conquered 3 star systems before humans invented the wheel. We should simply take what we want and be done with it." Tradition replied. "The Council has always offered terms first. It shows our mercy. When they surrender, as they always do, they will remember that we gave them a choice." "And if they do not surrender?" asked a voice from the shadows. Everyone turned. In the darkest corner of the hall sat Observer of the Quiet Ones. Her species was ancient, older than the Council itself. They had stopped conquering long ago. Now they only watched, recording the rise and fall of civilizations. When spoke, even the High Arbiter listened. "They will surrender," said. "They always do." "Always," agreed, "until the one time they do not." She moved forward and the light revealed her form. She was small compared to the others, no bigger than a human child. Her skin was gray and wrinkled, her eyes large and black. She looked weak, but everyone in the room knew that her species had survived longer than any other. They had outlasted empires, plagues, and wars that burned across galaxies. They survived because they understood things that others did not. "I have studied this species," said. "The humans, they are different." Different how? Demanded. They are soft, they have no natural weapons, no claws, no venom, no armor. A child could kill 10 of them. Yes, said, they are weak in body, but strength is not only in the body. She waved her hand and images appeared in the air. Images of Earth, images of human history. Look at them, she said. See what they have done to each other. The council watched. They saw wars, endless wars. Humans fighting humans across every piece of land, across every ocean, across every generation. They saw weapons that grew more terrible with each century. Swords became guns. Guns became bombs. Bombs became weapons that could crack the world itself. They are violent, said. Many species are violent before they learn better. You miss the point, replied. They did this to themselves. They nearly destroyed their own world not once but many times, and yet they survived. Every time they faced extinction, they found a way through. They adapted. They changed. They refused to die. She showed them more images. Humans surviving ice ages with nothing but animal skins and fire. Humans surviving plagues that killed half their population. Humans rebuilding after wars that left their cities in ashes. They have a word, said. It appears in every human language, in every culture, in every time period. The word is defiance. It means to stand against something stronger than yourself, to refuse to submit even when submission would be easier, even when submission would save your life. Made a dismissive sound. Pretty words, but words do not stop weapons. No, agreed. But consider this. Every other species we have conquered evolved as the dominant life form on their world. They were always the strongest, the fastest, the most deadly. They never learned to fight against impossible odds because they never faced impossible odds. She paused. Humans were not the dominant species on Earth. They became dominant through persistence, through clever thinking, through an absolute refusal to accept their own death. They hunted animals 10 times their size. They survived predators with teeth and claws that should have destroyed them. They did not win because they were strong. They won because they would not stop. The hall was quiet now. The laughter had faded. You speak as if they could threaten us, said. We have ruled this galaxy for 50,000 years. We have crushed species far more powerful than these humans. I speak as one who has watched civilizations fall, replied. The greatest danger is not the enemy who is stronger than you. It is the enemy who does not know they are supposed to lose. She turned to leave, then stopped. There is one more thing. In all my years of study, I have found only one creature in this galaxy who kills not for food, not for territory, not for survival, but simply because another creature made them angry. What creature? Asked. Looked back at them, her ancient eyes unreadable. Humans. She walked into the shadows and disappeared. The council sat in silence for a long moment, then stood, his armor catching the light of 1,000,000,000 stars. Enough of this foolishness, he said. The humans will surrender like all the others. If they do not, we will destroy them like all the others. Prepare the pacification fleet. 100,000 ships should be more than enough. The council agreed. The orders were sent. Across the galaxy, warships began to move, forming into a fleet that could crack worlds and burn civilizations to ash. They were confident, they were certain. They had done this many times before. But in the shadows of the great hall, Observer watched them go, and she wondered if this time would be different. She had a feeling it would be. 23 hours had passed since the council's message arrived. In that time, the world had changed. People gathered in streets and parks, looking up at the sky with fear in their eyes. Churches and temples filled with those seeking comfort. News channels played the alien message over and over, analyzing every word, every click of those terrible mandibles. But in the deep bunkers beneath the mountains of Korea, something else was happening. The leaders of humanity were not praying. They were planning. Admiral Park had not slept. His eyes were red and tired, but his mind was sharp. Around him, The best scientists, soldiers, and strategists on Earth worked in controlled chaos. Screens showed star maps, weapon designs, and classified files that had been hidden for generations. "How long have we known?" General asked. She was looking at a file stamped with the highest security clearance. 60 years, Admiral Park replied. "Since we first detected signals from the Council, we knew they were out there. We knew they were powerful. We knew that someday they would come for us. And we prepared. We prepared." Dr. Bay pulled up a holographic display. It showed something that looked simple, almost too simple. A metal cylinder, no bigger than a rice cooker, attached to an asteroid. "The Helix Drive," she said. "Our answer to 14 million ships." Minister stared at it. "What does it do?" "It makes things go very fast." Dr. Bay smiled. "Do you know what happens when you accelerate a small object to 96% of the speed of light?" "No." "Neither did we until we tested it. The answer is destruction, pure, unstoppable destruction. At that speed, a piece of rock the size of your thumb carries the same energy as a nuclear bomb. Hit a planet with enough of them, and there is no planet anymore." The room was silent. "We built these?" General asked. "We built millions of them." Admiral Park walked to the window of the bunker. Through reinforced glass, he could see massive tunnels stretching into the darkness. "For 60 years, we have been mining asteroids, building drives, and hiding them throughout our territory. The Council thinks we have 800 ships. They are right. But we also have 3 million weapons that can cross the galaxy in days and cannot be stopped by any shield or armor." "Why did we never use them?" Minister asked. "We could have expanded, we could have conquered." "Because we are not conquerors." Admiral Park turned back to face them. "We built these weapons for one purpose only, to make sure that no one could ever force us to kneel. We wanted to live in peace. We wanted to explore, to learn, to grow. But we knew that peace only lasts when you can defend it." General nodded slowly. "Mutual destruction. If they attack us, we destroy them. Even if we die, they die too." "Exactly. The Council has ruled through fear for 50,000 years. They make species submit by showing overwhelming power. But power means nothing if using it kills you too." Dr. Bay brought up another display. This one showed the Council's 12, each one circled in red. "Every one of their capitals is within range," she said. "Every one is targeted. If they try to destroy our colonies, our weapons launch automatically. There is no way to stop them. There is no warning. There is only fire." Admiral Park checked the time. They had 1 hour left before the Council's deadline, 1 hour to send humanity's answer. "Are we ready?" he asked. "The broadcast is prepared," General said. "Every frequency, every channel across the entire galaxy. They will all hear it." Admiral Park straightened his uniform. He looked at his reflection in the dark screen. He saw a tired old man who had spent his life preparing for a moment he had hoped would never come. But it had come, and now there was no turning back. "Let us show them who we are," he said. The broadcast began. Admiral Park stood before the camera, the blue curve of Earth visible through the window behind him. His voice was calm and clear, carried across light years in an instant. "To the Galactic Council of 12 Dominions," he said, "we have received your terms. We have considered them with all the seriousness they deserve." He paused for one heartbeat, two. "No." Across the galaxy, translators worked to convert that simple word. Many species had no equivalent. In their languages, there was no word for refusing a superior power. The concept did not exist. "You have ordered us to abandon 12 billion of our people," Admiral Park continued. "You have given us one day to betray everything we believe. You have treated us like animals to be herded, like children to be scolded." His voice grew harder. "We are not animals, we are not children, we are human beings. You see our short history and think us weak. You see our small fleet and think us helpless. You see our soft bodies and think us easy to break. You are wrong. Humanity was not born in comfort. We were born in struggle. We survived ice and fire, plague and war, predators and disasters. We should have died 1,000 times, but we did not. We are still here. We will always be here. You have 14 million ships. We have 800. But we also have something you do not understand. We have the will to resist. We have the courage to stand. And we have weapons that will make you regret ever speaking our name. Admiral Park leaned forward, and his eyes seemed to burn. You want war. You will have it, but know this. If you destroy our colonies, you're burned. If you kill our people, your people die. There will be no victory for you. There will only be ashes and silence. We do not want to fight. We never wanted to fight, but we will not be ruled. We will not be conquered. We will not yield. This is humanity's answer to your counsel. This is why Earth laughed when you demanded our surrender. He straightened, and his voice softened but did not weaken. Come if you dare, we will be waiting. The broadcast ended. The galaxy was silent. In the bunker, no one spoke for a long moment. Then General stepped forward and placed her hand on Admiral Park's shoulder. Whatever happens now, she said, you spoke for all of us. Admiral Park nodded. He was tired, so tired, but he was also proud. Now we wait, he said, and we see if they are brave enough to call our bluff. General smiled grimly. Is it a bluff? Admiral Park looked at her, and there was steel in his old eyes. No, it is not. Outside, the stars continued to shine, indifferent to the fate of nations and species. But somewhere among them, the Council was listening. And for the first time in 50,000 years, they were afraid. 40 days after humanity's broadcast, the pacification fleet arrived at the edge of the systems. 100,000 ships, each one the size of a mountain, each one carrying enough weapons to burn a continent. They appeared from hyperspace like a swarm of metal locusts, blocking out the stars. Supreme Fleet Lord stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Endless Dominion. He was the most decorated commander in history, a warrior who had crushed 12 rebellions and conquered 37 worlds. He had never lost a battle. He did not expect to lose this one. Reports, he ordered. His censor officer, a young named, studied the screens with growing confusion. My lord, we are detecting human vessels ahead, approximately 400 ships. 400, clicked his mandibles in amusement. They sent half their fleet to die. Where are the rest? Defending Earth, we assume. But my lord, these ships are strange. They appear to be old. Many of them look like civilian vessels that have been modified for combat. They would not survive our first attack. Moved closer to the main display. The human ships were arranged in a loose formation around the outer asteroid belt. They were not moving, not attacking, not fleeing. They were just sitting there, waiting. This is their great defiance, he asked. A few hundred garbage ships crewed by soft mammals. It appears so, my lord. Felt something that might have been disappointment. He had hoped for a real battle, something worthy of his skills. Instead, he would be destroying targets that could barely shoot back. There was no honor in this. Signal them, he ordered. Tell them to surrender or be destroyed. Give them one final chance to accept their place in the galaxy. The communication was sent. For a long moment, there was no response. Then a voice came through, calm and clear, speaking in the human language that the translators converted into speech. Council Fleet, this is Captain Shin of the United Earth Navy. We received your message. Leaned forward and I have a message of my own. I want to explain something to you, something important. Please listen carefully. The Supreme Fleet Lord gestured for his officers to be silent. He was curious now. What could this human possibly say that would matter? For 300 years, humanity has been preparing, Captain Shin said. Not for conquest. We never wanted to conquer anyone. We prepared for survival. We knew that someday, someone bigger and stronger would come and tell us to kneel. So we made sure that kneeling would never be our only choice. Empty words said, "You have 400 ships, I have 100,000. You are right, Captain Shin agreed. Our ships are nothing. They are old and weak and could not hurt your fleet even if we tried. But that is not why we are here. Then why are you here? To deliver a message and to show you something." The tactical display flickered. New contacts appeared, hundreds of them, then thousands, then hundreds of thousands. They were everywhere, scattered throughout the asteroid belt, hidden among the rocks and ice. As watched, each new contact powered up, showing energy signatures that his sensors could not identify. "What is this?" he demanded. "These are our real weapons," Captain Shin said. "We call them helix drives. Each one is attached to an asteroid. Each one can accelerate that asteroid to nearly the speed of light." Felt something cold settle in his stomach. Impossible. No species has that technology. "We do. We have had it for 60 years. We never told anyone. We never used it. We just waited and built and prepared." More contacts appeared. The display was filling with them now. 3 million, 4 million, each one glowing with quiet, patient energy. At light speed, a rock the size of a small vehicle carries the same energy as your most powerful weapons, Captain Shin continued. "We have millions of such rocks. Every one of them is targeted at a council. Every one of them can launch in seconds and arrive in days. There is no defense against them. There is no warning. There is only destruction." So officers were looking at him now, fear in their compound eyes. This was not possible. This could not be happening. The Council had ruled the galaxy for 50,000 years. No species had ever threatened them like this. "You are bluffing," said, but his voice was not as steady as before. "Am I?" Captain Shin's voice was still calm, still patient. "Think about it, Fleet Lord. We sent 400 worthless ships to face 100,000 of your best. Does that seem like the action of a species that is afraid? Does that seem like a bluff? We could destroy your colonies in minutes. Yes, and we could destroy you in days. Every world the Council has built over 50,000 years. Gone, burned, turned to ash and silence. Is that worth 12 human colonies? Is that worth your pride?" Did not answer. He was thinking about his own, about the great cities and ancient temples, about the billions of who lived their lives never knowing war. He was thinking about what would happen if those cities burned. "We do not want to fight you," Captain Shin said. "We never wanted to fight anyone. We just want to live, to explore, to grow. We want our children to see the stars without fear." Her voice softened. "You have ruled this galaxy through strength. You have made species bow because they had no choice. But strength is not just in ships and weapons. Strength is in the will to stand, even when standing means death. Strength is in saying no, even when no one has ever said no before. Humanity says no. We will not yield. We will not submit, and if you try to take our future, we will take yours." The fleet was silent. 100,000 ships, millions of soldiers, the greatest military force the galaxy had ever seen. And they were silent. "I am going to ask you a question now," Captain Shin said, "and I want you to think very carefully before you answer." She paused. "Do you still want a war?" Stood on his bridge, surrounded by power that could crack planets. But for the first time in his long career, he understood that power was not enough. The humans were not afraid to die, and they had made sure that their death would mean his death too. He thought about glory. He thought about honor. He thought about the statues that would be built in his name if he conquered these soft, stubborn mammals. Then he thought about his burning. He thought about his children screaming as fire fell from the sky. He thought about the silence that would follow. "Stand down," he said quietly. My lord looked at him in shock. "I said stand down." His voice was heavy with something that might have been shame or might have been wisdom. "Hold position. Do not fire. Signal the council. Tell them that the humans have declined to surrender. And then looked at the display, at the millions of weapons waiting in the darkness, at the 400 tiny ships that had stopped the greatest fleet in history. Then we wait for new orders, because this war is not ours to start. He turned away from the window and walked into the shadows of his ship. Behind him, the stars continued to shine, and humanity continued to exist. The war that wasn't had ended before it began. 6 months passed after the standoff in the systems. 6 months of silence, of waiting, of wondering what would come next. The pacification fleet did not attack, but it did not leave either. It hung in space like a question mark, waiting for an answer that no one wanted to give. Then the message came, not a demand this time, an invitation. High Arbiter requested a meeting with humanity's leaders, not on a warship, not on a battlefield, but in the Hall of Dominions itself, the heart of galactic power, the place where species came to surrender. Admiral Park went alone. The shuttle that carried him through the dying star's light was small and unarmed. He wore his dress uniform, pressed and clean, with every medal he had earned over 40 years of service. He was 73 years old, and he had never felt more tired, but he had also never felt more proud. The Hall of Dominions was even more beautiful than the reports had described. Crystal walls sang with captured starlight. The ceiling showed the entire galaxy, spinning slowly like a wheel of fire. 12 thrones rose from the floor, each one designed for a different species, each one ancient beyond human understanding. The rulers of the galaxy watched as Admiral Park walked to the center of the chamber. He did not bow. He did not kneel. He stood straight, his eyes forward, his hands at his sides. "You came alone," said. His voice echoed through the great hall. "Are you not afraid?" "I am terrified," Admiral Park replied. "But fear is not a reason to hide. My people sent me here to speak for them. I will not dishonor them by showing weakness." "You could have demanded more," of the said. "With your weapons you could have made us give you anything: worlds, resources, power. We do not want your worlds, we do not want your resources, we do not want power over others." Admiral Park looked at each of the 12 rulers in turn. "We want only one thing: the right to exist as we choose, the right to grow without permission, the right to live without kneeling." "You ask for independence," said. "I ask for recognition. We are not your subjects. We are not your servants. We are not species 7291 to be catalogued and controlled. We are human beings. We were human beings before you knew we existed, and we will be human beings long after this meeting is forgotten." The hall was silent. In 50,000 years, no species had ever spoken to the council like this. No species had ever dared. Observer moved forward from her place in the shadows. Her ancient eyes studied Admiral Park with something that might have been approval. "You have changed things," she said. "The other species will see what you have done. They will realize that surrender is not the only choice. Your example will spread. It will grow. It will shake the foundations of everything the Council has built." "Good," Admiral Park said. "No one should rule through fear alone. No one should demand obedience without earning it. The galaxy is large enough for all of us to exist without masters and slaves." "You would destroy the order we have maintained for 50,000 years, said. "Your order was built on submission, on the weak bowing to the strong, on species giving up their futures because they were afraid to die." Admiral Park shook his head. "That is not order, that is control, and control only lasts until someone refuses to be controlled." He took a step forward. "We can be your enemies. We can spend the next 1,000 years pointing weapons at each other, waiting for someone to blink first. We can live in fear, all of us, wondering when the fire will fall. Or we can be something else. Not friends, maybe. Not allies, but equals. Species who respect each other because we have seen what the alternative costs. Species who trade and talk and learn from each other, not because we are forced to, but because we choose to. You would trust us, asked, after everything we threatened. No, Admiral Park admitted. I would not trust you, but I would work with you. Trust is earned over generations. We have time, if we do not destroy each other first. The council debated for 3 days. Admiral Park waited in a small chamber, eating human food that had been transported across the stars, sleeping on a bed designed for creatures with different bodies. He did not complain. He did not grow impatient. He waited because waiting was what humans did. On the 3rd day, they called him back. The council has decided, announced. Humanity will not join the Dominions. You will not be our subjects. Admiral Park felt his heart stop. Was this the end? Had they decided to fight after all? Instead, continued, you will be recognized as an independent power, equal in standing, separate in government. You will control your own territory. You will make your own laws. You will answer to no one but yourselves. Relief flooded through Admiral Park like warm water. He kept his face calm, but inside he was weeping. In exchange, said, you will share the secrets of your weapons, not to use against each other, to make sure that no one can use such weapons without facing destruction in return. Mutual deterrence, mutual survival. Admiral Park thought about this. Sharing the Helix technology meant giving up humanity's greatest advantage, but it also meant ending the threat of war forever. If everyone had the power to destroy, no one would dare. Agreed, he said. The Treaty of Equal Standing was signed that day. Human and alien, writing their names on a document that changed the galaxy forever. When it was done, approached Admiral Park, his insect body clicking softly on the crystal floor. You have won, he said. Against all odds, against all reason, you have won. We survived, Admiral Park replied. That is not the same as winning. Is it not? Admiral Park looked at the treaty in his hands, at the words that guaranteed his species a future. He thought about his daughter on 7, about her children playing in alien grass, about all the generations that would come after. They would grow up in a galaxy where humanity was respected, not feared, where they could explore and learn and build without asking permission. Maybe it is, he admitted. Maybe survival is the only victory that matters. He returned to Earth 3 weeks later. The celebrations lasted for days. People danced in the streets, laughing and crying, holding each other like they had been given a second chance at life. Because they had. In the memorial garden outside the Defense Command, a new monument was built. It was simple, just black stone with white letters. It bore no names, no dates, no lists of battles. It bore only 3 words. We did not yield. General stood before the monument on the day it was revealed. She was older now, gray in her hair, lines on her face. Beside her stood her daughter, 15 years old, with her mother's eyes and her father's stubborn chin. What does it mean? The girl asked. It means that when the universe told us to give up, we said no. Put her arm around her daughter's shoulders. It means that we face the darkness and refuse to be afraid. It means that we are human, and humans do not quit. Will we ever have to do it again? Looked up at the stars. They were bright tonight, brighter than she had ever seen them. Somewhere out there, the council was watching. Other species were watching too, species who had submitted, who had given up, who were now wondering if they could find the courage to stand. Probably, she said. The universe is big, and there will always be those who want to control others, but that is okay. Why? Smiled, because we will always have this. She pointed at the monument, at the simple words carved in stone. We will always remember what we did, what we can do, and anyone who comes for us will learn the same lesson the council learned. What lesson? That humanity laughs in the face of impossible odds, that we do not surrender, we do not submit, and we do not yield. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. Above them, the stars continued to shine, and humanity continued to grow, spreading across the galaxy like seeds in the wind. They were small and soft and fragile, but they were also stubborn and clever and brave. And they were no longer alone. The galaxy had changed, the council had changed, everything had changed. And it all started because one small species, on one small world, had the courage to laugh when they were told to kneel.